Kathy's Cute Creations. Today we're going to work on week 4. Can you believe it's week 4 already? Boy, how does time fly. Today it's going to be the Frosty Star. So hopefully you have downloaded your paperwork. The star is going to look like that. Isn't that pretty? That's what we're going to be using all these gigantic, and that's what I call them, 9-inch squares. And you should be using A, B, C, D, and E colors in this. And you should have, besides the 9-inch squares, you have a little 4.5-inch letter A, which is your background, the white for the corners of this square. Alrighty, so I have paired up every one of the colors based on the paperwork. So my very first one, because I do have them in order, is an A and a B. Then I have an ASC, A, D, A, E, B, C. I have 2 sets of the B and the D, so you'll have 2 of them together, which is this right here. It'll be the blue, the light blue, and then the stars. And then the last one is a D and an E. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to sew all the way around, 1/4 inch, all the way around to make a square. Then we're going to mark them with our friction pen or pencil or whatever you want to mark them with, because the mark line is the cutting line. We will end up with 4 half square triangles. There'll be 8 of the light powder blue with the stars. Otherwise, all the rest will have 4. So let's do that. We'll go ahead and we will chain stitch these. I'm not starting at the end. I went ahead and started a little bit from the end. Don't need to lock it in place. You can overlap it when you come to the end of it. Okay, so you guys go ahead and do all of these. We're going to come back and then we're going to cut them. So now we're ready to do the marking. So I am going to mark from corner to corner, allowing for my pen to make a mark. So I won't be right on the corner. And I'm actually going corner to corner based on my sewing line. It doesn't need to be a dark mark. It can be a light mark. You could use white chalk if you wanted to. And you could even make a dash line, because if you don't even want to make a line, just go ahead and just cut it. Cut it into 4s. Let me get my rotating table out here. Alrighty, here we go. We're just going to cut it. We're going to cut every single one of them. If you have a mat like this, rotating mat, which you can turn, then you never have to pick it up. You won't have to worry about it. And if you don't want to mark, you can just cut it right on your mat. We'll end up with 4 of these. We will iron them all open. And from there, we will cut them down to 4.5 by 4.5 so that they fit within that design that we're creating there. So just go ahead, cut all yours. Now, when you come to this color, that's going to be too dark, so you could flip it over. And you can mark it, or you can just cut it. I am just going to go ahead and cut it. I'm not going to mark it. Cut it in half that direction. Turn it. And I'm just going from end to end. Just like that. And then I will be looking at the picture when it comes time to put it together. And you could actually change your colors on this, I guess, if you wanted to. Let's go with the light side. Maybe we're going to run into the dark side. So instead of going and showing you how to do this from here on out, which you pretty well got the hang of it, I'd prefer to spend more time on assembling it. So go ahead, finish cutting all of yours. When all is said and done and you've got them cut, you iron them open, and we have 16 half square triangles. And now we're going to use this famous tool, the block lock, blah, 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 blah. Let's see if Kathy can do it right. Everybody's going to have their fingers crossed. Everybody that's told me how to use it is going to go, I told her how to use it. She knows how to use it now. She can use it now. So let's try it out. Okay, ladies, here we go. It must stay in the shadow. Nah, I'm just saying the shadow. Here is where my seam is at. Here's the shadow of the block. And I'm told to put it up here and snuggle it on there.
Snuggle.
Let's move this ruler right here because I don't need it.
She likes to snuggle, y'all.
Okay, so I'm going to go down to about right here. And I'm going to take off the right and the left. And then I should be able to come back down on my block, because the numbers run one like that, and they also run 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. So it's like two sides of the block. So I started out where my fold was on the right hand side, and I've got it up against there correctly. So now if I go down to 4.5, which this is the half, the 4.5 is right here. And if I go down to there and I put it right on there, and I take it and I take that off like that, pick this up, and there is a perfect square 4.5 by 4.5. Thank you everyone, and I mean everyone, that reached out and said, this is how you're supposed to do it, Kathy. So that's how you use your lock block. I went ahead and I put little marks on here to test it out. So you want to go and cut every one of your blocks to 4.5 by 4.5. There we go. She just had to get her hands in there, you guys. She had to make sure that if you're using the block lock, that you put it, the shadowed area, over the seam area. That's what that is. The seam is on that side.
Could you show them what part of the shadowed area is? Because I don't see a shadow.
All right. The shadow is right here.
Oh.
Okay.
That goes over the fold.
It goes over the fold.
Gotcha.
And I'm going to say that it goes, when you're looking at the, here's another, I don't think this was mentioned in the comment now that I'm looking at it.
She's like, wait a minute.
Well, the reason I'm saying it is that everybody said to make sure you take the shadowed area and put it over the fold area, but nobody said that the shadow area should be towards the right of the block. Meaning, let me get my tool over here. Now that I've done that, here is the shadow on this right-hand side, downward on the block, okay? Because there's your point of your block. If I turn to this direction, I have to have this fabric turned this way because it needs to be in the shadow like that. See, I can't go this way and put it in the shadow. It won't work like that. I don't think anybody said that part. See, if there's a wrong way to do it, Kathy's going to find it. I'm going to tell you right now.
I think as long as the product comes out right, the rest doesn't matter.
But if you don't get it correct and you don't know what you're doing, you make a mistake like I did the last time around.
I'm saying if it turns out correct, then you do it any old-fashioned way you desire.
Well, the point is, does it need to go this way?
What do you think?
I'm having a hard time thinking I got this dog trying to crawl up in my lap while I'm sitting here. She's getting
a little anxious.
She can't be any closer to what I'm up against. So this is how you would test it, okay?
Well, at least she's little.
So let's just go here. So I'm going to mark my square.
With her friction pen.
Yep. Which the point would be right up there, which is what you want. I would turn it around. I'm going to do it on both ways to test it. Just while I'm thinking about it right now.
Hope it doesn't mess it up.
So then you come down to, well, I'm not going to cut it yet. I'm just doing testing. So here's my 4.5 right here. There's my 4.5. See, 4.5. This right here would be cut off, this 1/4 inch. Then I would do right here and right here. So see, that would come out correct. But instead of going this direction, here's my fold. Let's turn it this way and put it on there. Well, if I do it now, it's not going to come out right. So you need to know, not only does this go in that folded area right here, it's best to go by, have the fold or have the seam on the right hand side and make sure that the lock block is on the right hand side. Yes, block. I don't know why they didn't let me name it.
Are you locking up the block?
No, I should have named the block. That's what I should have done. But anyway, because if you went the other direction with it, this way, although it'd still be in that seam, it would be wrong.
The fold has to be to the right, and the words have to be to the left.
That's one way to look at it.
There you go.
Or just be paying attention that this needs to be in that seam where the two have met.
And if you like somebody, you can always write a note saying which way to use it if you don't use it too often.
Well, no, I'm just saying it'd be just my luck to do it wrong. I always do everything wrong.
No, you don't.
Well, I feel like I do. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, you raised your dogs right. For the most part.
You're so funny.
For the most part.
For the most part. All right. And then I'm going to slide this down.
I don't know, you got one food obsessed and one bark obsessed.
And I've got it at my 4.5. And then we're going to do it with another ruler because we need to know if you do not have a lock block. Now this is the only size lock block I have. I don't have any other sizes but this one here. So this is a 6.5. Is that what it is? No, it's a 6. I don't know what it is. I can't read it. No, it is 6.5. So it's a 6.5 inch block. And I got this through Fort Worth Fabric Studio, by the way, in case y'all want to go over there and get yourself one.
Just tap on that little block thing.
There we go. And now we have 2 of them. So would you hand me another ruler over there, Megan, please?
Which one?
The one that's about that size. The square one. Smaller. We don't want to go too big.
The smaller one's only 6.
All right. That's good. Okay. We only need 4.5, remember?
Hey.
So if you're going to go with this one now, the main line of thinking is keep this line that goes diagonally down your... Wait a minute. It's telling me I have a very low battery and I may be out of filming if I do not plug
I thought you were going to say ink.
Out of ink?
Yes.
I'm not out of ink.
Okay.
Okay. We're plugged in.
Is it still recording?
Yes, it's recording. Alrighty, so make sure your diagonal line is on your diagonal line. And I always take off the least amount to start out with. So it's going all the way down here. So I take it off on the right. And I will take it off on the left. So take that off. I will take... Now I've got my biggest part of my ruler up here. I pick it up. I turn it so that I see the one going to the left, the one going to the right. I put it down to the 4.5, and I'm going to match up these 2 little bitty spots. They're little arrows. I also have a 4.25 mark, so I know that that's not the 4.5, which means I need to go one more set of on the white right here. Now, I guess if I wanted to, I could have chose this 4.5. But I'm going to make sure that it's going straight down. And I always have I try to have my line on the fabric.
Oh, she got fancy with that snip.
There we go. And now we have 4.5. And that's it. So go ahead, do all of yours with either your block lock or your regular ruler.
I saw she reached over to read it.
I didn't want to, whichever one you want to do. We'll have them all cut out and then we'll come back. Okay, so I've laid it all out here on the table and we're going to sew it row by row. And I'm going to start with the bottom row because it's closest to me. Alrighty, so since there are 6 squares in each row, I'm going to do sets of 2 to put them together. Now keep in mind, every time something goes up or down, I'm going to sew it so that it goes downward. So that's the way this is going to be sewn, downward. I'm not putting a pin in anything. Everything's 1/4 inch, 2.5 inch stitch, a size 12 needle. And I pinned this one here. And I'm just going to do 1 row at a time. So after I get done with these, I'm going to take them, I'm going to clip them, I'm going to iron them all open, and then I'm going to attach these together. So I have 1 whole row done. Now I am sewing the first 2 and the second 2 together. I decided not to iron them until I was done. Now I'm putting it down next to the other one, and I'm taking that one, and now I'm going to sew it to the set of 4. Again, I'm not pinning anything. I'm just laying it down. I don't have to worry about anything flipping. It's all going, right now it's all ironed the correct direction. Nothing's had to be redone, except that very first time when I had to nestle. All the seams are going in the right direction, and when I say that I mean downward. And now I will iron these because we have to either take them all to the right or all to the left because we'll have to nestle every one of these rows. So that's what row number 1 is going to look like when you're finished with it. And now we're going to go, well, actually it's row number 6 because we weren't working from the bottom up. Now I'm going to do the next one. So remember, now we're putting each 2 together like that. And then we'll take this and put it to this. Okay? Alright, here's our next set. Now the only one I've pinned is the one where the things have to be nestled. Otherwise they don't have any pins on them. It's the one that needs to be nestled. And in this case, they were the correct direction with the ironing on them. Let me make sure I have them laid down correctly. Now before I even started these, I did take a picture just in case I needed to go back, in case the cat jumped up here unexpectedly and knocked it all apart. I don't have a design wall big enough to put all this on. I probably ought to need to create another design wall. Alrighty, so now we're going to match these pieces. So there's no ironing on anything. Everything is going the correct direction, which is very good. Now I will iron these the opposite direction. Alright, I have them on the ironing board. I've got them upside down. This is the bottom row. This is the row above it. And so when I ironed it, I ironed this one to the left. This one I opened up. This one to the left. This one I opened. And then this one to the right, because that's the way they wanted to go. So to join these, I have to match them up. So I went ahead and I did this to the other direction. So they'll nestle. These are open, so they will nestle. Both of these will nestle. These are opposite directions. These are open, and these are opposite directions. So that's what I'm following, and it's just based on my fabric wanting to go one way or another. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sew these 2 rows together now. Now on this one here, we're going to need to mark it. And this one here. To see it, it's going to be better to see it on this side. So I went ahead and I marked it, so that I do not go over my peak. And now the way to do that is you go on the other side, and as you can see, it's going to be really hard to see where it is. So open it up, and the coloring is right here. These 2 match up. So I'm going to take my pin from the opposite direction and push it through, because what I'm looking for is I'm looking for the corner up here. See if I can get closer to show it to you. There's the corner where you would be chopping it off. We'll take it and we'll go through this corner here. Make sure we can see it in there. Let me pull this apart a bit. We're going to put it through there. Just like that. Then we're going to flip it upside down while the pin is looking at us. And we're going to pin it like this. And then we can take this pin out and it's marked. And we're going to do the same thing to this end over here. We want to find the location. It's pretty easy on these colors because these are not the same color. So we're going to put our pin through here. That would keep us from taking the tip off. Actually, we can go down a little further. And then through here. Bring it back over here. And I don't have this one marked. At least not yet, I don't have it marked. But that one didn't quite go in where I wanted it to. So let's split that. There we go, like that. So this helps us get it lined up straight with the fabric. That's the purpose of this pin. We're going to sew it on this end. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mark it first with my pin. Then I'm going to mark it with my friction pin. So let's take this out. I'll lay it down here and mark it with the ruler because we can actually see it here. There you go. And we'll mark it and then we'll sew it on that side. So I'm going to sew on this side and this side. But when it comes to the other, I will just go ahead and sew on this side because there's nothing to be marked. It doesn't need to be locked into place or anything. I do suggest you take your pins out so they don't get run over by the needle and break. We'll take that off. Move further down where the next one's at. Because once you've got your needle in there, it's not going anywhere. Your fabric's not going to be slipping and sliding. At least it shouldn't be. Let's put it that way. Might have to tug it a little bit, which is what I had to do to get it to come over that bump. And I'm going to stop with it. Now I'm going to flip it over and we're going to start at the beginning just as if we hadn't even done that yet. And you can go over that when it comes time to get up there. Okay, so we're going to take a look here. This is the 2 rows sewn together. They look pretty good. I have not ironed them open. I'm going to wait to iron them. So let's go ahead and build the next 2. Now, nothing had to be re-ironed on this one. They all look like they go together really good. My nestling looks really good. Alrighty. Now we're going to put the 2 sets together. So this is the first 2. The last 2. And that'll be 1 row. Before I do any kind of ironing, I'm going to go ahead and do the next row also. We'll just do 2 rows at a time. Alright, here we go with the next row. I think I find this the easiest way to be keeping it from being confusing and messed up. just do a row by row. There we go. There we go. Now we have 2 rows done, and we're going to iron them. All right, so for this one right here, I went ahead and I opened it. We're not going to see the mark go across there, but I'm going to go ahead and put my pen through here so I know where it's at. Attach it on this side so I know where it's at. And then I'm going to pin it. And I'm going to have to watch that when I sew it, because I could only mark on the left side, but I couldn't mark on the right. Well, I guess I could with white. But I'll be real careful when I go across that. Gonna have to do the same thing for every one of these, because they're all dark. So you're gonna be careful, and you can see where you gotta put it through there. Make sure it comes out the other side. I can go down a little further. Like that. I guess you could put, now that I'm thinking about it, you could put some washi tape across there. Or you could mark your, well, I'm trying to think, how would you mark your 1/4 inch? So I've got those marked. I'm going to have to mark. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to keep this to the right side and mark it, my pen. And the same with this one here. So that's pretty good. Go at an angle when you're stabbing your fabric so that you don't actually turn it by mistake. Go down here, it's the same thing. It looks like everything's got a mark on it. And I think what you might want to do is do this first with your large stitch, and then make sure, see how this is going to really be difficult to see because of the colors, but it can be seen right there. And the next one, let's see. I'm going to guess it's about right there. I don't know if I should be opening that or not. Let's take a look. Maybe I should open that. That might be a lot easier to see where it's at if I open it. You can press it with your fingers if it hasn't been ironed, and this one has not been ironed. So I pressed it with my fingers, thumbs, finger. And I've marked it right here. There we go. And I'm going to look to see if I've got some white. I think I have some white chalk or white pencil. Let me see if I can find that, and we'll mark this. Okay, so I have this stuff called sew line right here. Right there. We're going to try that because that is a white. So let me see, and I'm going to make sure I back up enough. Yep, that's going to work. I have to back off enough to allow for my pen mark. So here's what I did. I did the red on the white, or the pink on the white, and then the white across that. So that's what I'm going to do, is just mark these. Just mark across where it's got to be sewn. And that's all. I can do that one in a pink. The blue ones can. Oop, I dropped my pen. Let's see if did it break the lid? Nope, it did not break the lid. Alrighty, and now we have across this blue, which is right there. And you just want to go right above the line so that you don't take off your tip. Let's go ahead and sew those. Alright, I went ahead and I added some more pins in here. Okay, it's looking good. I'm not unhappy with any of the points. So it looks all right to me. So now I'm going to sew this to the other two that we did to begin with. Okay, so when I've pinned these together, that I put the white sew line, the marker on that, and then I put the pink on that. The only one that's going to have an issue is going to be this one here. So it's on the other side because this side doesn't show anything. So when I flip it over, oops, there it is right there. It's this piece right here. So we're going to go ahead and sew that side first, and then I'll flip it over and sew the other side. Alright, so we're going to start on this side. And then we're going to stop. I'm going to turn the whole thing over, and now we're going to start on this end and go down. If you feel like you're having difficulty and it doesn't want to go through, you can take your stitch and mark it up to, put it up a notch to a 3-inch instead of a 2.5, because sometimes it needs that. And we're just going to come right up against the one we stitched. Doesn't help anything to go over it again. Now we're going to take a look at it. Okay. Everything looks good. Let's pull this down a little bit. It's all looking good. There we go. Now that's 4 of them done. The top, the bottom 2, and the 2 up. And now we have 2 more to do. So let's do those 2. All right, here we go. Second row from the top. And then this one has nestling at the bottom, so I put a pin on it. And then we'll set these together. I'm not going to iron it yet until I get that last row done, because I'm going to go ahead and roll them, iron them open. Alright, so this one also was nestled, so I finger pressed this down in order to get them nestled, because they were both going the same direction. Okay, and then the last one. And that fabric's going in the correct direction, so I'm not going to have to worry about that. Okay, I'm going to get this last row put together. Now let's get them all ironed. Alrighty, so I have flipped this upside down, and I'm going to go from the back side on this corner because for some reason it's wanting to eat my thread, and I'm not quite sure why when it starts out. It's not like it's going down inside the little round plate piece, it just did not want to sew. Now you should have this side marked, just like we've been marking all the rest, about right here and start it. I really don't know what the heck happened there. Let's go back up to 2.5. I'm not sure what the problem is. I don't know why that did that. I mean, my machine is not dirty. My needle is fairly new yet. So I'm not quite sure why it did that. Maybe it was a flaw in that corner, but I went ahead and I put, whenever it has an issue with starting out like that and I can't figure out why, and I did it a couple of times, I did it both times, so I'm not quite sure what's up. I went ahead and I put a little bit of spray starch on just that corner there to kind of stiffen up the fabric. This is like way off the 1/4 inch, so I don't know what's going on there. But it's only on that one side, so let's see here. I opened up all these seams because of all this bulkiness, but sometimes that seam does not want to stay open, which I hate when it folds over on itself. And you never know when it's going to do that. There's never a rhyme or reason to anything. Alright, let's take a look at it. Okay, it looks good. And what I do is I go ahead and I pull this out to take a look like that. As I go along here, I just pull it out to get a better look because nothing's been ironed yet. So it all looks good. Alright, so we've got one more to put on. Let's do that. Alrighty, this is going to be take 2 because I just sewed that whole thing on wrong. So, we're going to... Alrighty, so to begin with, because this is the way it's supposed to be, this part is on the back side. So we're going to pin that first on this back side because there isn't a place on the other side to see it. So it's better off to just go like this, like that, and then just pin it. And I'll sew it on this side. And I'm going to go ahead and I will probably, let me see here, come off the end. I'm debating. I'll think about it because, boy, I don't know about that upward here. Okay. Alright, so I flipped it back over, and now here's where we see a spot, and there's one over there too, so we have to make sure that we don't lose our tips. So this is what I'm going to do. Hopefully you can see this. And while I've got it pinned, I'm going to put this pin in it, and then put this pin in it. Ouch. Should be good. I think I'm going to put pins between them though. Let's just... Okay, and then this one. Ooh, it is right on the edge too, boy. Boy, that's going to be barely enough to catch that 1/4 inch. Jeez. I don't know what happened to that one. That's going to be a short little thing. And it looks like I got 2 of them on here. It's hard to see that one, but that's where it goes, right there. So let's pin that. And then I'll mark these either in white or red. I guess I'm going to need to take that off because that piece right there does not want to stay down. There we go. And we're coming up to the end over here, and let's see. All right, that side over there has it, but this side doesn't, so I'm going to have to flip it over. That's another one with hardly anything. That is barely making a 1/4 inch. Now let's go down a little bit lower, looks like. There we go. So I'm going to sew this one from this side. And I guess we might as well just come on down on it. And so let's go ahead and we're going to mark this side here. And that we can mark in the pink. We want to make sure that we come with our pin below the spot, because when we sew, we'll go right on the line or below the line. Let's go to the other one, which is going to actually take the white pen or pencil. I think it's chalk. Well, maybe let's see, did I break the chalk? I must have. All right, let's see if we can get some more to come out. I might have to get a different pencil because I'm not sure how much. Oh, there we go. Okay. I'm not sure. There we go. There we are. And we're going to flip it upside down so that we can mark. So we're going to have to mark dark and light here. So let's go white on this side. And let's go the pink on this side. And we can do the pink here. Make sure you're in there we go. And then we'll have to do the dark and light again here. There we go. And then that's it for the marking. So let's go ahead and sew it. So we're going to sew the side that has the least, which is the back side. So first we're going to see if we can get it started. Let's take that pin out. Let's see if we can get going here. All right. Then we come about halfway here, and then we'll stop. And I don't know if I came down. Oh, I need to redo that. I didn't come quite low enough on this side, so let's just start right there and then go this way here. There we go. I didn't quite get it on that pink enough. Alrighty. Now we'll take it on down here. There's the other part right there. This is the one that's marked in the white. I think that's a chalk pen. There we go. A little bit, and we'll stop. Oh, wait a minute, I'm going all out with this one, aren't I? Okay. Alrighty, here we go. There we go. Now we'll turn it. Shouldn't have to do any kind of locking because it's just going over its stitches. Alright, here's a little small one, so we've got to be extra careful. It looks like my fabric did what I didn't want it to do, which means it folded over on itself. There we go. So I got it pushed off. That should be good enough. So let's take a look at it. What's funny is that I laid this entire thing out on this table, and do you know that I didn't see my mistake at all? And let's see here. Yep, that looks good. When I saw my mistake, it actually was up on the design wall up here. That's when I noticed it. So I took it all out and re-put it back together. So let me get this ironed. Alrighty, there it is, all completed. Finally, boy, does that not look beautiful. I hope you all liked this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Make a comment if you'd like. I hope you learned something. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Next week, actually, which will be week 5, the last week to put the assembly of this quilt together. See y'all then. Bye-bye.